Welcome to University Dialogue. I'm your host, Micheal Sayne. Today with me is Howard Shire, who is a reporter at the Montreal Star and a former journalism student at Concorda University. He wrote the Oohs and Ahs column of the Georgian. Welcome. Can you please tell me what the journalism program entails? What do you have to take and everything like that?
Well, it's a 30-credit course. There are courses in writing and reporting, which are grammar school, sort of one level up. They teach you the dialect of journalism, a bit about fact gathering, where to find information, how to put it together. Basically a writing skills program.
So I guess you have to take English courses as well in writing?
You don't have to, but a lot of the people that get into the journalism program have had that background. I did a minor in creative writing along with a minor in journalism, so I had a lot of writing courses, non-fiction, fiction, different workshops that polish your writing skills.
How well does the journalism prepare someone who wants to be a journalist in the Montreal Star or the Gazette or something like that?
It prepares you in terms of a lot of the skills. Journalism really, as far as newspapers go, is a dialect. It's just almost a language on its own. You have to have a certain tone, neutral, objective, always trying to find a way to say something without offending anybody, which is never any fun. And it prepares you for that. It prepares you in some respects for how to meet a deadline, how to, let's say, listen to somebody speak for 2 hours and extract the few salient points and make a story out of it. It doesn't prepare you for a lot of the realities of journalism. People who write in a journalism class can usually write as much as they want. And when you do that in a newspaper, you face getting it amputated at the waist, which has happened to me on a few occasions.
So that's one of the realities and all that?
Yeah, space. The editors at a newspaper are, in some respects, more strict than either a university newspaper like the Georgian or a university journalism course. At the Georgian, you can get away with a lot more. You can editorialize a bit in your copy. You can have a bit more freedom of movement. This is whether you work at the Star or the Gazette, they're newspapers that go to, I suppose, a fairly conservative element of society who like their news straight and informative with not all that much leeway.
Did you expect the same quality of writing, the same kind of writing you would expect as the Georgian, or was it something totally foreign to you when you started working at the Star?
It wasn't foreign because the journalism program does impress upon you that newspapers like a certain style of writing. They don't really want your opinion. They want you to just sort of be a filter or a funnel through which a bunch of facts can come into a story. At a newspaper like the Georgian, mind you, I was doing a column,
Oohs and Ahs.
Oohs and Ahs, where I could say just about anything I wanted and was never edited or, I would consult with the editors from time to time, but I had a lot of freedom there. And if I felt that a certain situation was such, I could say it. Whereas at the Montreal Star, I've got to get somebody else to say it and report it. You have to attribute just about anything you write.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you were taking the journalism course, did they help you prepare for writing for a newspaper by actually going into a newsroom, seeing what it was like?
Yeah,
like
there's an internship program where in your second and or third year, you can spend a week either at a radio station, TV station, or newspaper, And most papers and radio and TV stations in Montreal were pretty accommodating, and they would take students in. A week, I think, is not long enough, because I did mine at the Gazette this year, and I walked into the newsroom, cowering student. Everybody was very busy. I just would sit down at a desk and read a few newspapers in the morning, and they'd give me a little assignment. I'd go out and do it, and I'd come in and I'd go home. I didn't get too much feedback, and I never really felt settled in. By the time I felt comfortable there, which was like the 4th or 5th day, I was gone. I'd like to see, I think Carleton does it for up to a month or two, where this, you really get to see what a newspaper is like. And it can be disillusioning.
Where do you see some of the problems and limitations of journalism in Montreal as well as Quebec?
Well, I see it in two aspects. Personally, I consider myself more a writer than a reporter. I go out and I get the story, I get the facts, and then I sit down and write it, and that's the part of the job that I really enjoy. Other people are much better at digging up facts, but can't really write. And, everyone has their strengths. So the limitations for me sometimes are more in the writing style. I might write something which I think is, well done and, get off a few good lines, and the editors will say, this is your line. Take it out. We don't want, your opinion. We just want straight fact. So personally, it's limiting in that way. Journalism in general, I think, is limited almost to a People magazine type of rationale. They concentrate on public figures, on Jimmy Carter's smile, rather than a lot of his policies, on their personalities, which really didn't happen so much 10 years ago. And I think it's quite a coup on the part of government, because at a time when we're supposed to be much more open about what's going on behind the scenes, they distract you by drawing your attention to the leader's face and that whole, People magazine ethic.
Well, would you consider, I don't consider People magazine a journalist kind of magazine. I consider more of a gossip magazine.
Yeah, it is. One good example of where that's very prominent are in the Star and the Gazette. They're both page 3 columns, Ted Blackman and Nick Oftermar. And 9 times out of 10, the columns will be just about people, like PQ backbencher so-and-so, Tory backroom politicians, names in bold print. It's like the Tommy Schnurmachers of journalism. They never really look at an issue and go into it. Having done the column at Sir George, I like something where the writer will really go into an issue, present the sides, have a beginning, a middle, and an end, almost like a story. And these guys just, they dash off names in bold print. If you have lunch on Thursdays one day and eavesdrop, you know what's going to be in those 2 columns the next day. It's gossip. It really is not somebody, giving a side of a story. And I think those columns are representative of a lot of the problems in the media today.
Now, the Gazette has Tommy Schnurmacher and the Star has John
Burgess.
Yes. Do you think those type of columns would be allowed, or would they be tolerated in a newspaper, let's say, of that caliber 10 years ago, the Star or the Gazette? Would they have had those kind of columns 10 years ago?
Probably not. But again, people are very interested in the face, in the the so-called behind the scenes. I mean, personally, I don't read them, but I suppose they have a place. People seem to enjoy it. I don't like seeing that in the supposed city columns.
Now, you did your internship at the Gazette, and you now work at the Star. As you know, we're hearing commercials and press that there's the paper war. What are your feelings about that, and how do you think they could stop this ludicrous sort of situation?
Well, Ted Blackman, before he went to work at the Gazette, came to talk to our journalism class a few months ago, and he coined a very good phrase. He said, this newspaper war is being fought with blanks. You know, because neither paper is really doing anything to improve itself. They're taking out ads, they're going on radio. The Star had its color photos, the Gazette had a big media campaign. And if they had taken all of that money and tried to find a few more good writers or sent their reporters out on stories out of town, I think that would be a newspaper war, if they were really trying to improve their product. But they're not. They're trying to sell their product.
Do you foresee a merger in the future?
I don't know. I've been at the Star for about 5 months, and as such, I'm not really privy to any of the great secrets that go down in the executive corner. They're both backed by major chains, which I think are pretty competitive. I couldn't really foresee one, but it could happen.
Now, as a former journalism student, and now having actually working experience, if you had a chance, how would you change the journalism program at Concordia, if any?
Well, I would do one thing that the administrators of the journalism program have been trying to do for about a year, and that's make it a major. It's right now it's a 30-credit course. There are, I guess, 18 credits in writing workshops, and the other 12 are courses like the law and the press and history of media, different things like that. But they need, I'd say, a major which would include a bit about broadcast, a couple of political science courses, discussion seminars. I'd like to see a course where a lot of the young reporters or journalism students could get together and just talk about their ideas about the press, about politics. And I mean, we would have it informally, but not quite enough. I think it definitely should be a major, because there's a lot of interest in journalism. And they could do it, Concordia could do it with courses already existing. They don't have to hire new teachers and get new courses. They could just take a few courses from Com Arts, maybe one from cinema, documentary, film, history, economics, a few things, and make it a better rounded program and increase the internships.
I just want to briefly explain what a major is, because some people may not know
60
what a major
credits
is.
rather
60
than 30.
credits. And does this journalism program include like television or radio work at all, or is that also you want to foresee in the major program?
There is now one course in broadcast writing, 30 credits, which prepares people to write for radio, which is really a shorter, more conversational version of newspaper writing. This year it was taught by Steve Fizicki, who's the news director at CJD. That is the only course now that goes beyond the print medium.
Would you like to go into other kind of printed media, like writing books and things like that?
As I said before, I consider myself more a writer than a reporter, and I think that this is kind of an intermediate step for me. I've worked in radio, I've done a bit of TV at CUTV, I did some magazine writing last year. Now the newspapers, I'd like to work documentary, film, scripts, television, magazines, a number of things I want to do, and all of which would revolve around writing.
It seems to me that you're more interested in creative type of writing, so if you feel that journalism sort of stifles the creative talents, why did you go into this? Why are you now a journalist?
Because for one thing, it's hard to, let's say, leave university with a BA in creative writing and journalism, open up an office and say, hey, okay, I'm a writer. Anything, whether you want to write novels, plays, anything like that, requires some kind of apprenticeship. Some people will wash dishes and write their great novel at night. I'd prefer to work in a newspaper for a few years, because you learn a lot about people, about politics, about the city, about newspapers, and it still is writing. And there are some times when you can be creative. It's a matter of taking some kind of initiative, and if they edit you, well, try it again. Keep trying it.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll be right back with Dave Johnston. Thank you for coming. Hello and welcome to University Dialogue. I'm your host, Micheal Sayne, and with me today is Tom Somogy, who's the station manager for CRSG, a radio station at the Sir George Williams campus of Concordia University. Welcome.
Hi, it's nice to be here.
Nice to be here, too, with you. And can you just tell me a little bit about the station and how it functions? Basically, a little bit of background information.
Well, the station was built 17 years ago. It's been funded by the DSA for the past 16 and by CUSA. It's for the first time.
Okay. For people who don't know what DSA and CUSA is, DSA was the Daytime Students Association, which is now defunct. CUSA, which is now the Concordia University Students Association, is the umbrella title, I guess, for all the old students associations. And they're now a separately funded organization, and they now dispense money to different organizations like CUTV station, Concordia Television, and the radio station. Okay, now what type of audience are you geared to?
Well, to the students, I suppose, of Sir George.
Now, continue.
Okay, and some listeners. Well, we do have listeners on cable FM too. So we're not sure of their age bracket or how many we have on cable. So we gear ourselves to the students.
Do you presume that the number of cable people who have the TV also have the radio cable outlet thing there?
No.
Attachment, no. Okay.
It would be a different attachment altogether.
Okay. Now, what kind of programming are you going to try this year? Anything different from last year? We're going to keep it the same, the same format that's been successful in the past?
The format last year was very successful, to my knowledge. I had very good feedback from the students and people who work in the station. So basically, we will keep the same format. Like we'll have 2 4-hour shifts from 8 to 12, and then from 12 to 4. Well, you'll have an operator and announcer. We'll have the headline news at 10. We'll have the news again at 12. And then at 12:15 we'll have current events in Montreal. We'll have a person coming in and talking about different movies and different restaurants and whatever is happening in the city. Then from 4 to 7 we'll have a magazine, which will be a 3-hour show slated with information, tidbits, conversations, hopefully interviews, and so on. And headline news again at 4 and at 6. And within the show we will have a small show which will be like new releases. So we will feature a new release maybe every night, a different new release every night, or every second night, depending on how fast they come out.
Okay, the non-musical programs are mostly information shows?
They will be there, yes, for the students.
Will they be geared to a certain kind of students, say for women students, for international students, or?
Well, they'll be geared hopefully for something for everybody. We don't really know what shows we'll have definitely yet. But I know that we will be having a women's show this year, which is going to be, I think, on Tuesdays from 12 to 4, the show, and within that we'll have a 2 hours women's show. And this will be dealing with all the aspects concerning law for women and, let's say, health care, whatever would involve a woman's.
A large portion of the students that come to Concordia University either have French as their first language, their mother tongue, or can speak French. Will you have a program in French, or do you have certain hours laid aside for French programming?
Well, hopefully, it all depends if we can get somebody who knows their French music well enough. And we do have a person in mind right now. And I think it's something we lacked in last year, was Canadian music, you know. And hopefully this year we're going to boost it up, and especially the French-Canadian music, because there's a lot of good French-Canadian stuff that never gets heard because it's not commercial, so other stations won't touch it. And that's what's the good thing about college radio, is we can afford to touch music which other people won't. We don't have to play the hits. We don't have to rotate the hits. We can play cuts off maybe a well-known album that nobody has heard of before.
But wouldn't the students rather hear the popular music when they rather hear the hit music?
I don't think so. I think, you step out of school and you turn on your radio and it all sounds alike now. Montreal has become such a competitive field in radio. And everybody's trying to outdo the other. It's contest and it's hype. And even the FM stations are starting to sound like. The FM stations geared to a younger market are very hype now, you know. So I feel that maybe with a college station we can show people another side of music and entertainment which they haven't really known yet, which was quite popular maybe 10 years ago when FM licenses were tax write-offs for an AM license. Then an FM license could do whatever they want. But now they have to, more or less, since they're in the ratings and they're out to make money, they become more commercial.
And last year you had a program called the Countdown 30 show.
That's right.
Which is going to be replaced by the Countdown 20. Can you explain what's meant by Countdown 20?
Well, last year the station manager was too diversified. He wanted to have an FM format, and within the FM format have an AM format. So he had this top singles show, which is Countdown 30. Now all it really did was, if you would listening to, let's say, an FM station, and then they come on playing disco music and, you know, hits, singles, and this guy's coming on hype, you lose your listeners. They just walk out of the lounge, or what, they don't want to listen to you anymore. So this year, to keep people informed of how the records are going, we'll be maybe working with Discus or ANA, and have a Countdown 20 show, which will be the top albums of the city, or of that store.
For instance, well, do you plan, let's say, have an interview show with maybe the top DJs or top promoters of the other radio stations in Montreal?
Well, since we're radio stations and going for an FM license, we won't have interviews with them.
No,
because it's like, you know, going to another station and getting just cutting your own throat in a way.
I see.
But what I will have is that hopefully I'll have different people coming in from different stations who'll give seminars to the students involved in radio and give them ideas and maybe ideas for production and engineering and record purchasing and so on.
That sounds very interesting. Have you tried to have your disc jockeys or even people who are working in the background to the radio station or other radio stations to learn the different facets of a professional?
You see, it's not up to me. I can't tell professional radio stations, well, give this guy, teach him something. So it's up to the student. If the student goes out and hustles and talks his way into a radio station, which has happened on numerous accounts from CRSG, sure, they go out and they learn. Sometimes they never come back. They stay there.
So basically your radio station is geared toward the student, and if eventually it goes to the airways, will be for the community?
It will be a community station, definitely.
What kind of services do you foresee in this manner?
The programming will be very different. If we do get an FM license, it will be just a 50-watt transmitter, which is very small. So we'll just be able to cover maybe a downtown area. and maybe the West Island, or the west end of Montreal. So, and right now it's very hard to get an FM license, so the CRTC is looking for a community station, which would mean that we would more or less be, instead of pushing out the hits, would be more of an information station, you know, and you could do it within a given music format too, and like have live shows, people who aren't well known, different artists, you know, cultural shows. If people are having events, well, you broadcast it for them, and so on.
Now the station has a blue book. What exactly is your blue book?
The blue book is for, I guess, for all the student organizations who are interested in broadcasting an event, if they're having a party or if they're having a discussion or a meeting or whatever. They'll give us a piece of information and we'll put it into this book. And this information goes on a rotation system. Okay? So maybe every 2 hours or every once an hour to be read out over the air. And this is of no charge to any student organization.
See. And you also, I understand, give 15 minutes of free airtime to any student association. What do you generally use this time for?
Well, if they have something to beef about, or if they want to maybe get their views across to the students, they can feel free to come in and use the studio for 15 minutes a week, but they have to let us know when they want to use it, and we'll just book time for them.
How are you accepted by the outside the community of the radio station? Let's say RCA Records or
the record companies were very well. Last year we had a great person working with music, Leo Knappen, and he did a great job, and he got us very well known with all the record companies. And it's like before we'd have to go to stores, maybe get records. Now they send them to us. And I think we're quite respected in the media center.
Mm-hmm. Now, so you have a mobile disco unit. Could you exactly tell me what this is?
Yeah, so the mobile disco is, well, it's a mobile disco. We rent it out to different organizations. If they have parties or bashes, they tell us the kind of music they want, either disco, rock, or a mixture of both, or whatever. And they would just go out and we play it for them. You have to book time. You have to book the evening with us, make a reservation. If we are free that night, we will work for them.
Are these available to any, like a student organization within the school?
Definitely, and it's even to students who are having, you know, they do
private
not, you know,
parties? Do you tend to cater to private parties? Say a student comes up to you, say, "I'm having this party at my house." Are you able to go to this?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
But they have to give me at least a week's notice. I mean, if they come to me the same day to be certified.
What do you charge for this service?
Well, I think it's still debatable. I think I'm going to charge $75 for an evening. But this includes the disc jockey, the music and the records and the system. Mm-hmm. You know, so.
Is this like for inside the building or?
This is inside the building.
I presume it's more if you have to go to a person's house or something.
Definitely.
Uh-huh. Now, the big thing with disco music is the lights and the floor, or floor show. Do you have something like that to go along?
Well, we're working on getting some lights this year. We didn't have any lights last year. Hopefully this year we will have lights, and the floor is sort of hard to carry around with us, so we'll take the one that's there. So.
What direction would you like to see the CRSG go into?
What direction?
Like what would you like to see? What kind of changes, if any, would you like to make with the station?
Well, I would definitely like to see an FM license.
And how long would that take if you're going to make an application? It would take about a year.
Okay, with the application going to go through, let's say, this month. It's going to take about maybe from 8 to 12 months to get an answer. Mm-hmm. But then you'll go to different hearings and whatever. It's a lot of bureaucracy involved.
Do they govern how many watts you're allowed to have?
Yes, definitely. Well, at first, I guess once you get a bigger station and more listeners, you can go for more watts. But right now, they're not giving out any. They're not giving out too many watts. And there's not too much place left on the dial.
Well, it seems to me a lot of the school radio stations have either rock or disco or type of music of that kind. Would you like to see more of like along the pop side, let's say Dean Martin or Frank Sinatra? Because you have a lot of nighttime students who are of that age, of that crowd. You have also maybe classical music? You have a classical.
Yeah, we do have
Now
Dean
we're
Martin
dance.
and Frank Sinatra sort of.
Well, those are for the geriatric sets.
Yeah, it would be nice to see. I'd like to see some disc jockeys who could be able to mix. It'd be nice to see a disc jockey who'd be able to mix from a rock song, a Frank Sinatra song, and it can be done. Because music really has no boundaries, so it can be done. But unfortunately, the DJs sometimes don't know enough about the music. They might not listen to the same music their mother listened to, so they just know rock. And they come in and they do a show just rock, and more rock, and then somebody else will come in for 3 hours and do, let's say, jazz. So this year, what I'm gonna do is have the students and tell them that they have to play, let's say, a certain amount of jazz an hour, a certain amount of blues, a certain amount of French Canadian music, a certain amount of Canadian music and rock, and it will be more or less formatted for them. And then hopefully everybody will get to hear what they like.
You would have a comedy hour or something like that? Like you hear late night on radio stations?
We might not have a comedy hour,
But just play
but we might bits and pieces if the disc jockey thinks it's suitable at that moment.
I want to thank you very much. It's been very informative 15 minutes. And we'll return after this brief pause. And I want to thank you very much, Tom
My
Somogy,
pleasure. Thank you very
who
much.
is the station manager of CRSG radio station at Sir George Williams campus of Concorda University. Thank you. Welcome back to the second half of University Dialogue. With me for this half is Marie Houle, who belongs to Les Tournesols, which is a folk dance company situated in Quebec. Welcome to the show.
Well,
Now, as you go to Concordia University right now, and you're majoring in theater and literature. Can you
Right.
just tell me exactly what you're taking?
well, my main courses are in theater. It's my main interest. But there isn't too much work in theater right now, so I decided to take a literature along with it. So I get better chances when I get out of here, hopefully.
Now, taking theater, does this help you as a dancer in Les Tournesols?
Yes, it does a great deal. It helps you to be a lot more open, for one thing. That's one of my problems anyways, and it helped me in that way.
Now, how long has Les Tournesols been a dance company?
The company is going into its 11th season this year, and we're quite proud of that.
Makes sense. Now, this summer, from August 17th to September 3rd, you toured Europe and France and Switzerland, and you attended some festivals. Can you tell us
That's
exactly
right.
what they were about?
Well, we were in France. We were in the region called La Vendée, which is on the Atlantic coast, and it's down in southern France. And we were there for a festival which is called Festival aux Oignons. And there's a whole traditional story with that about people getting married in Quebec and coming back to Vendée to find out about their ancestors, because that's where they came from. And then we did the whole thing about getting off the ship and greeting our ancestors there.
Now, what other countries were involved in these festivals besides France and Switzerland?
Well, when we were in France, it was like we were representing Quebec there in that festival, but that was it. And then when we went over to Switzerland, it was a congress, the 5th Congress for the French language, and places like Belgium and Wallonie, which is Northern Africa, and Acadia and Quebec, along with Switzerland, of course, were represented. And we were there to show a bit of our folklore.
These weren't competitive festivals, were they?
No, they weren't.
So they were just basically for show.
Yes.
Now, at the Festival des Oignons, did you perform and dance this story of the married couple coming over to France?
No, we didn't exactly dance it, but like we were dressed in our 1900 costumes, and we'd come off the ship and greet the people. It was like we hadn't seen anybody for 6 months, right? We'd just come across from Quebec, and in 1900 it took about four or 5 months to cross the ocean in boat. So it was like the whole thing, but we haven't seen anybody for the last 4 or 5 months, and it was everybody was very excited and that. And then when we got off the boat, we had the dignitaries there greeting us, and it led into a parade and into a banquet. But then in the evening we had our show.
How many people are involved in Les Tournesols? How many members are there?
Well, there are 18, 19 dancers. Usually it's 10 girls and 10 guys. And we have 6 musicians and 2 singers with us.
Now, I understand you've also done some choreography. Have you done choreography with Les Tournesols?
No, I haven't done any choreography with Les Tournesols. The choreography I've done has been here with a show done in the theater department here last year, The Mad Woman of Shire.
Oh, yes. Did you also act in that show, or did you just...
Well, I wouldn't say act. I had a walk-on, shall we say. But that's what gave me the opportunity to do other things for the show, like choreography. And I was doing a lot of publicity work also.
Have you studied any other kind of dance besides folk?
Well, I started off with tap when I was very young, and then I did a lot of ballroom dancing.
So this helped you, I guess, in order to do the folk dancing?
Yes, it does.
Mm-hmm. What other things are planned for the coming year?
Well, usually we have an annual show every year, and this is going to be the first year that we don't have one in the last 10 years. But we are hoping to be able to get contracts here and there. And then our big thing will be next summer when we're going to be having a contract with Man in His World for Les Floralis.
Is that a festival, or is that a pavilion?
It's international flower show, which is going to be held at Man in His World all summer next summer.
That's interesting. When you were in Europe, what was the best part of the participation? Just meeting other people from different countries, or just being there in Switzerland and in France?
Oh, just being there was something else. We were greeted very, very well. We couldn't ask for anything better, really. The people from over there don't really know a lot about us, and it was very interesting to get reactions from them about what we were showing them. We'd have terrific discussions after the show about how things are done. And like, to give you an example, one of the suites we're doing is called Le Temps des Fêtes au Québec, and it represents the whole Christmas time right up to Mardi Gras. And we show all the traditions around Christmas and stuff like that. And people around there, it's not the same at all over there, so it was very interesting, all the questions we got on that.
Did you find there's both French cultures in Switzerland and in France. Did you find them different from here in Quebec?
Oh yes, very much so. I think we're a lot closer in tradition to Switzerland than France. There was a lot more differences with the French people in France than in Switzerland.
And you were well received by the different people in different countries?
Oh yes, for sure. It was when we had our big show was Saturday night in Switzerland. This was last Saturday, and there was like about 6,000 people there, and it was quite impressive. And the next day, to show their appreciation, we had a parade where all the people from the Congress were in also. And there were approximately 50,000 people there, and it was quite something. It was quite an experience, you know. And we didn't have to dance, we didn't have to do anything. We were just there, and the people would clap and say, you know, hooray for Quebec, kind of thing. It was nice.
Is this festival in Congress every year?
Yes, it is.
And do different folk dancers are saying, are you going to go back next year?
No, every year they have a different
company?
theme, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you have one specific dance or story that you do every show or something?
Mm-hmm.
Like that?
Yes, well, we have our show is set up in 3 sections, and the first section is mostly a lot older dances that we do. Some of them originate from France. Some of them are sung, and then we move up gradually. And in our second suite, we represent a lot of different regions in Quebec. We do dances from La Beauce, from La Gatineau, from Acadia, a lot of different places, and it's amazing to see how dances can differ from one region to the next. And then leading up to our final suite, which is Le Temps des Fêtes au Québec.
Do you plan to stay with Les Tournesols?
Oh, definitely.
Now, as you were you've done some choreography. Would you like to choreograph a dance for Les Tournesols? Do you think that's possible?
I don't think it's possible. I would like to. If not with them, I'm hoping to get something started maybe somewhere else in folk dancing. And it's mostly in Quebecois folk dancing. And I intend to learn a lot more about international dancing too, because we do international dancing also.
So you would like just to stay as a dancer and choreographer, or would you like to go into acting, for instance?
Well, it's funny how last year I would have told you acting for sure, and this year I'm changing my mind a lot, and the dancing is attracting me a lot more than the acting. And even here in theater, I haven't done much acting at all. I've done a lot of backstage work and publicity, box office, PR.
What does dancing mean to you? How would you define it for yourself?
Well, right now, dancing means a lot to me. It's a way of expressing myself. It's a way of knowing my country, getting to know my country a lot more. I didn't know much about Quebec, and during the last year, we went to a lot of different regions where we've met people from there, and like we dance, say like dances from the region of La Beauce, and you go there and you dance with them, and you see that that's really how they're dancing. It's not just past or forgotten. Or it's an active folklore, and it's interesting to see how it's still getting around.
So do you think there's a resurgence of these kind of dances in Quebec? I guess now there's so much, there's the Separatist Party now in power, there's more and more having this as a representation of Quebec life. Do you think this is very important for the Quebecois way of life?
Well, I think it's coming back a lot. That's what you mean.
Yeah.
Like it used to be kind of dead for a while, but it's surfacing back. Sure.
Now, the Tournesols start off with just one family, a mother and father who had 8 children.
Right.
And they started the dance group, and it's grown every year?
Yes, it has. Well, they got in the neighbors and things like that. And the older son is now in university studying folklore and things like that, history of Quebec a lot.
Do they have a fixed number of dancers, like 31? That also includes the musicians and the singers.
Right.
Or can they have more if they want to?
No, well, the thing is that a Quebecois dance is usually done with 8 couples.
Oh,
So
I see.
you can't go over really, and we have 2 extras all the time.
Okay, so
For
rehearsal
replacement,
songs.
yes, for replacement or anything like that. And then there are also other groups in the there are 3 sections in the Tournesol. There are the recruits, which are the very new people who will learn the basic steps, things like waltzing and polka, things like that. And then there's an intermediate group which specializes in international dancing. They do Ukrainian dancing, Israeli dancing. Last year they did Western dancing also, Mexican. They do, it's international, and they get their base in Quebecois also, like jig, which is a kind of tap dance using Quebecois.
And what do the advanced section do?
Quebecois only.
Just totally...
Because that's the advanced section is the show group. If there are any contracts or anything, the more advanced group is the one who goes, and people will call us for when they call us, they want Quebecois. They want to see something very traditional. They want traditional.
Are most of the dancers of Francophone origin?
Yes, they all are right
They
now.
all are.
They had 2 dancers in the past, I think, who were English, but they're all French right now.
Now, if you are Francophone or you are Anglophone and you are interested in folk dancing and other kind of dancing, how would you go about getting in contact with Les Tournesols?
Well, their headquarters is in LaSalle, and you call Madame Jacqueline Ménard, and it's the phone number
Yes, get the phone.
365-4226. And they'll give you all the information you want.
So you have to go through a series of auditions. And things
No,
like
no
that?
auditions.
No auditions?
No, you start with the recruit group, and you learn your basic steps, and if they find you're good enough, well, you go
Well,
up.
how many people are in the recruit?
20, 25.
20. Do
approximately.
most of them stay? Do a lot of recruits stay with the Tournesol?
Well, right now, the majority of people have been in for about 4 years.
4 years. And can they go up
Oh, sure.
in stature? So they go from recruits to international, and eventually they go into the advanced.
Right.
Now, you've been dancing how long?
1 year.
So how come you all of a sudden went right into the advanced
I
group?
was very, very, very lucky.
You were very lucky?
I was in the recruits until December, but I already had my base. I knew a lot of dancing beforehand, and then I did the annual show in April with the intermediate group. And after the show in April, one of the girls in the advanced group quit, and I was the oldest in the intermediates at that time, the oldest in age, and I was very, very lucky. They asked me to take the other girl's place. Yes.
What is the age group for this?
Well, in the
Recruits, let's say. Let's start with the recruits.
it's quite young, but anybody can come.
Anybody?
But you feel out of place for a while. They're mostly about 14, 15, 16 years of age.
And then the international is?
16, 17.
And it gets older as they go
Yeah,
up.
18, 19.
Okay, would you like to give just once again the phone number and who to call for the
Okay, well, the
Tournesol?
name is Jacqueline Ménard, and it's 365-4226, and we're situated in LaSalle.
So, if you are interested in folk dancing, that's the number to call. If we now come to a close of another show of University Dialogue, I'd like to thank Marie Houle,
Thank
who
you.
belongs to the Tournesol, and Tom, who belongs to CRSG. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back in 2 weeks.